Boom. Transition. Yeah. No, wait, hang on. Is it working?
Not seeing it yet.
Oh,
There we
boy.
go. Okay. You're going to be slow. So.
That's fine. Hey, there it is. Hey, friends. All 5 of you. Appreciate tuning in. Let's see. Okay, first of all, I need to just fucking. Oh, hang on. No. Show you this. I got it printed. Haha. It cost a lot of dollars. But I don't care. I'm a little bit annoyed that the printing wasn't like totally fun. I don't know if you can see. Probably can't see. But it's like, there's like little lines and stuff. So I'm a little annoyed at McNally for that. But you know what? It looks great on the inside, and the inside is what counts, right? So we're just gonna go with that. So far, you're not gonna have very much competition for the copies because there's like 3 of you in here. But it's all good. It's all good. I can just give up everyone. What's going on? Yeah. I've got my co-pilot in the back here. Hang on.
Hello.
I'll show you. Look, I can do this without turning things around. Oh god. Oh yeah, check out my very professional stand, which is 2 binders, and this is he's watching me here because I need the support. So yeah, wrote a book. It's I don't know. It's okay. I hope it's okay. Sorry. So where does the title come from? Bound in Color. Oh yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, the title was like a million years coming. I had it when I originally proposed the story. It was like way different than what I thought it would be. I wanted to. Dear God, let's ignore that hair. So I wanted to make a story that was like told from the perspective of the not the protagonist. So like the protagonist would not be the point of view character. So when I pitched it, it was called the sidekick story. So you'd have so if you're thinking like Harry Potter or something, you would have the story being told from Ron's point of view rather than Harry's, or like Hermione's or whatever. Um, so that was my idea, like going in when I started writing, but it was harder than I thought it would be. And as a first effort, it probably wasn't the best idea to start there as such a like an ambitious format, I guess. Um, so it just kind of turned into something very gay, because okay, so what I wanted to do when I first started writing this. Should I start talking about this now? How many people are watching? 6 people. Yeah, you know, it's okay. So when I first started writing it, it was like I wanted to fill a niche of fiction, like about characters who weren't necessarily straight, but that wasn't the whole point. I wanted to just show them having like magical adventures and the kind of thing that you would expect from a like a young adult novel, um, but without it being like super tragic and like oh man, everything is gay and everything is terrible. You know, does that make sense? Um, so I basically just wanted to have that be part of the uh, characters, but without being the main plot point, I guess. Um, so the color kind of refers to the like rainbow flag, um, and the binding is part of the like magical universe I come up with. So it's kind of a steampunk version of His Dark Materials, if anyone has ever read that. But it's like every person has a representation of their soul, um, like with them all the time as an animal. So I kind of ripped off that idea a little bit. Everyone has little dudes that follow them around, so they're bound together. They're called bond mates. So that's where that came from. Oh, hearts, hooray! Yeah. So, oh yeah, this is what I wanted to do. I want to show you the download link because I put the book up now. Haha. You can have it for free. It's great. Pop it in the chat. You guys are the first to get to have it. Bam. Put it in the description too. Bam. Oh, wait. Change of save. Someone tell me if that's on there. Can you see it in the description? I should get this chat up further.
Doesn't look like it. I think they're gonna have to refresh.
Oh, okay. So yeah, if you want, but yeah, the link's in the chat. If you want to have it in the description, you can just refresh the stream. It should be there. Yeah. It's very exciting. So, I hope my computer doesn't crash on me. This streaming is like pretty intensive. It's cool though. So yeah, so I wanted to do an ebook because A, it's cheaper. Let's be real here. And B, because I want it to be like accessible to the folks online that I wanted to get it to. You know, like the kind of introverted little, the kind of introverted young adults who like spend time on the internet and like read millions and millions of words worth of fan fiction like I did when I was growing up. Um, so I basically wanted to have this as like an original fiction alternative to that. And I hope that that's kind of how I based the writing of it actually. I I just sort of thought of it as fan fiction the whole time, which kind of made it easier. But at the same time, it was hard not to have the like um, base world, I guess, or the original canon to write from. Having to come up with everything yourself. I'm sure uh, those of you who wrote books, I'm looking at you, Taylor, who can empathize with that. It's hard to come up with stuff. Like that's the great secret of writing. It's like what's your secret? Oh man, all these ideas and stuff. It's just like fuck. It's hard. Do I relate to any of the characters? Yes. Well, I kind of used the point of view character. Can you still my TV? No. I use the point of view character, Saphira, as the character who I think is closest to myself. I actually originally based her off of one of the characters I made for a video game um, from Dragon Age. So like the character had like ram horns, so that's why she's got a little ram familiar. And I kind of used my own voice for her the most. Yeah, ups and downs while writing. Yeah, I'm sure Taylor could also tell you about ups and downs, because oh man, or Zach, there were so many downs. It's so anxiety inducing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, character. Yeah, so I kind of wanted her to be like the sarcastic center. Like she's like they're pretty actually close to like the Harry Potter trio, if we're being honest here. Um, but I kind of tried to model the point of view character Sphira more after Ron, and then we had the bookish character Tamron. He's the trans guy, and then the protagonist, technically, or the sort of one with all the magical young adult protagonist powers that you'd expect from a book, is Aaliyah, and she's great as well. Did deadlines help with writing the book? They wouldn't have gotten written without them, let me tell you that. It's kind of a problem that I have with deadlines. Excuse me while I fuss with my hair. In that I tend to pretend they don't exist. But, yeah, there was definitely. I may or may not have still been writing it approximately an hour before it was due. So that was an interesting experience. But yeah, I work best under pressure. I need the deadlines to get stuff done. Um, Otherwise, I'm just kind of like, oh, I'll do it later. Because it's very intimidating trying to sit down, like facing that cursor head on and trying to just produce stuff without the kind of familiar what I have. Oh man, I would totally have an owl. Absolutely. I've thought about this in great detail, like from reading his dark materials and stuff. I've thought about a little owl. That would be great. So yeah, so the sort of magic system in my world, I oh sorry, I took it to as kind of a like an elemental slash spiritual thing. Um, is there a sequel coming? I want there to be. Oh man, so my editor got me all excited. Like halfway through, I sent her through the rough draft. It was about three-quarters done and kind of crappy, but and she got all excited. She was like, "Oh man, you should totally submit this to a publisher." And I was like, "Well, that sounds awesome! Like getting an actual book deal at a pre-com. How cool would that be?" Um, but then I wrote to my advisor, and she was like, "That is not even close to what you said you were going to do, and also there's no way that would fit the deadline." So, all right, cool. I guess we are just self-publishing then. But um, it kind of, I'm thinking about this as kind of a prequel, and I would really like to be able to revisit the world one day and build a bigger series off of it, and maybe make money at it this time. That would be awesome. Oh, you didn't miss much. It's just me freaking out about my writing process and talking about how deadlines happened. Hello, hello, friends. Type in the chat. Come on. Okay, whatever. Hey, 8 people. This is pretty cool. People watching my dumb face. Yeah. Wrote a portion of my book that way too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most books are driven heavily by deadlines. Like I follow quite a few authors on Twitter, and one of my favorite authors, Brent Weeks, is currently in the middle of deadline hell. He's constantly on Twitter being like, "I'm talking about anything else other than my book," and then it's like, "Oh wait, I should be writing. Nothing to see here, folks," and just kind of scuttles off. That's kind of the downside to the creative process. It is very hard to regulate. Um, yeah. Did you know that 20,000 words seems incredibly difficult when you try and write it down? It is. It's true. I'm gonna. Oh yeah, at some point I'm gonna read some of this probably, but I might wait for a few more people because people are still tuning in. So that's cool. But yeah, movie deals win. Okay, very funny. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I want to talk about. This dumb cover design that I did in InDesign in like 5 minutes. Um, inside looks here, folks. Um, yeah. So hang on a second. I'm just flip my thing. So yeah, this I originally wanted it to be um, like an clockwork like phoenix on the cover, but I couldn't make it look good. Next time, I will have a professional cover designer, and it will be great. But so yeah, this is supposed to be like so. One of the main conceits of the books is that everyone's a little spirit dude. You don't just have a little borb floating by your head. The spirits have to be like housed in something. So when you're like born, you get the spirit sort of put in a little talisman, and sort of like this size. Maybe this would be mine. And so in the main city, the artificers are the biggest makers of those talismans, and they're clockworks. And they don't need like power or anything because the spirits are what power them. So that's the gear. It's a little bit steampunky, but I don't think it's too bad. And then this is like the spiritual energy of the thing. Um, I should not have used this font because it is entirely too decorative, but it's fun and I love it. And this N is actually how I write my N's, so that's what attracted me to it. I'm just like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And then yeah, this is supposed to be just like a cityscape in the background that it takes place in the main like trade city of the world. Oh yeah, I have to show you my map. I'll wait till a little later for that though. I'm getting all excited about dumb stuff. Yeah. Oh, I need to send my friend a link. Hang on. Uh, uh, So yes. Okay. Oh, wait, this is what I should be doing. I should be writing down everyone's names so that we can get somebody to win the books. It's gonna be cool. I got 5 copies. Um, they're all here. Wait for it. No, hang on. Ah, no. Ah. I'll sign them if you want. If you don't, that's fine too, because my handwriting is atrocious. But what's my favorite part? Well, I have a few favorite parts. I like there's a middle bit. There's a bit in the middle that's like a battle sequence um, that really appeals to like the anime nerd in me because you got like the action scenes, you got like the cool elemental abilities and stuff, and it's like ooh, Clash of the Wills or whatever. Um, so that was kind of fun to write. I was trying to do it like line by line and like uh, line by line. Yeah, I was trying to do it like blow by blow like an action movie, and then I realized that didn't make sense, so I had to like just kind of like, hey, it's really general and fueled by adrenaline fueled whatever. Um, so yeah, I think it was kind of a cool like character moment for the characters between with their bondmates and stuff, as sort of getting to know each other better and that kind of thing. Oh, there's a mic on this. That's why this is weird. Okay. Sorry, I'll just switch this so you don't have to hear me rustling as much. Okay. Um, yeah. Maps. I have a map. One of the first things I did actually was make this map of the world so I could like kind of conceptualize it a little better. Because trying to come up with everything from scratch is just like you have this big floating cloud of just weirdness and like you can't nail anything down. So like half my creative process was trying to write everything down and just be like, okay, this is all the world building. This is all the I have like thousands and thousands of words of world building, like most of which didn't make it in the book. That was the biggest problem for me actually, was trying to keep everything out of the book. Like if I had put all the world building in the book, it would have been twice as long and half as boring. Half as interesting, twice as boring. Ah, okay, the map is in here somewhere. Chair cam. Da, 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 da. So yeah, what I really wanted to do was have this in the print version, like you see in normal fantasy books, where like you open it up and it's like, hey, here's the map in the front cover. But I'll show you why that didn't happen. It's pretty incredible, actually, because my map it was drawn on the back of my live hit derby marking sheet. Oh man, and it was very handmade. So we have we have such features as the stick marked trees and the amazing compass rose over here. Not to mention the rough. Oh yeah, I spent like a good day like trying to work out how big this continent should be. 1,000 kilometers is what I came up with. So this is like supposed to roughly correspond to Eurasia, kind of a thing. Oh, hang on. Can you move the light? We can shine it on this a little better. Ah. Nope, but whatever. That's fine. Yeah. So this is the main city. This is where I thought it would be, because it's like on a lake and it's connected to the sea via the river. So it's the big like trading post of the country, continent. Yep. So there's no like countries. It's just big like city states. So this is the main trade one. We've got the one up here. This is the northern like mining city. I mentioned it a little bit in the book. That's where like most of the like raw materials for the little talismans come from. We have these two like twin cities here that like completely control this like inlet. If you want to get your boats in here, you have to pay them all kinds of taxes. So most traders actually go like from here like all the way up and around. This is why this main city is so important. And then we have the spirit wilds way over here. That's where the spirits kind of like roam unchecked, and people don't live there because it's like super dangerous. Like a lot of the more powerful spirits still live up there, and here's is better, and it's kind of dangerous for people to go out there. So we've got a few more like kind of cities here and here. We have Aaliyah comes from the main city here at Karatapur. Never said that out loud. Holy crap. Tamron comes from a small town down south here. He lives on the coastal city. We have the main coastal city down here as well. And Saphira comes from a small mountain town, like right up here. So like she like leaves and like makes her way all the way across like the world to the main city. Over here, this is where the like priesthood lives, that like commune with the spirits and stuff. Like there's 4 great guardian spirits who like watch over the world, and like the priests of those guys live in this like remote island. So like I'd love to go there and explore that. I'd love to explore a little bit of the spirit wilds. There's like the really remote trading post out here. Like I want to see what's going on over there. This is where a lot of the lumber of the world comes from. This like isolated wooden city, the swamp, the desert featuring nomads, and of course the crowning jewel of this map. I needed to look very closely. White People Island. Because I was trying to base the main city off of Constantinople, so it's like Middle Eastern sort of Eurasian flavor. Most people there you'll find are not white. That's the other thing I wanted to emphasize. Dear God, is to like throw some diversity in there. I didn't want to try to like overstep and be a white author writing colored or characters of color. So I didn't try to make that a huge component of the narrative, but I just wanted them to be that way because having representation is important. Yeah. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to visit the interaction of White People Island and like see how their traditions with the spirits differ and all that junk. So that'd be pretty cool. Just look at the chat again. White People Island is the best. Hooray. Scale is such a bitch. Like you wouldn't even think about how like you just kind of like throw it down and be like, well, okay, so if the cities are right here, are they like 2 miles apart? Are they like 20 miles apart? It's so hard. White People Island is my favorite part. I should have called it White People Island is what I should have called it. But yeah, actually it was pretty cool. I'll share this neat map making trick with you. So this, like the outline of it, you know how I made that? Macaroni. It was the best. So what you do is you just, because if you just try to draw like a random shape on paper, it'll look really unnatural or like it'll look like somebody drew it. It won't look like an actual landmass. So what you do is you throw a bunch of macaroni on the paper, and then you just draw around all the little squiggles and stuff that the macaroni will make. And excuse me, that was gross. Like it kind of turned out pretty smooth at the first run, but then on the second go round you have to like go in and like add more squiggles and stuff to like simulate a natural coastline. But I'm actually pretty proud of how it turned out, and I need to scan it in and like draw over it in Illustrator or something. Maybe I'll put it in like a second edition or in like a re-release or something. Although it's online, it's free to download, so why would a re-release happen? But if I like ever do a second printing, I think it'd be kind of cool to have in there. Put the map in. Macaroni is the best for everything. Hey, there's more people. Hey, Erin. Hey, Sam. Cartographers hate her. Yeah. Well, I mean, not to poop on like people whose actual job it is to make maps and stuff, but it's just me. I'm the one-man show, so I just did the best I could. Oh yeah, Taylor, you do D&D stuff, right? I should have asked you how to make a map. Yeah, the link is in the description, and I will plop it in the chat again as soon as I can make it work. Work, chat. Oh, here. I'm just typing on my name. Okay, Christ. This is the stream link. Guys, I'm the best. This is the best to everything. Sam Sampson. Yeah, that's the point of streams, is like, hey, look, Mom, I'm on TV. Read something out of the book. I will, hang on. That's my mom and dad, everybody. They're tuning in from, where are you guys? Detroit? Hang on. This. Bam, download link. Okay, I will grab an excerpt right now. I'll use my copy, so I don't get my grimy fingerprints all over the stuff that you guys are going to read. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Oh, yeah. Bam. Okay, what should I read? I don't know. I don't know what I should read. I don't know what the best point is. Rockford, Illinois. Cool. That's not Detroit. Okay, so I'm going to ask Zach, post in the chat what his favorite part was, because he's the only one who has read it. And I'm bad at evaluating my own work.
That's a good question. I did kind of like the fight scene.
Yeah?
There's that. There's also.
Zach's voting for the fight scene.
Yeah, going for the fight scene.
Action scene? All right, let's do it. So this is about 2/3 of the way through the book, and the kids have stumbled on some stuff that they should not have, and there are some bad dudes that are going to be after them. And this is actually one of the first scenes I wrote. So fight time, thank you. And I think I edited it right. I think I like got most of the like details and stuff to where I want it to be, but I still feel like it's not. I don't know. It's kind of like a remnant of an earlier time, battle royale. Yeah. So yeah, this is kind of like a showcase of like how the companions kind of interact with their humans, and there's a little bit of foreshadowing for the end, but we're just gonna leave that for later. Okay. I forgot that I didn't actually put chapter titles in this book, so I need to flip through and find it. Ugh. Summertime. Look how professional it looks, guys. Holy crap. It looks like an actual book. Ah, so exciting. I now understand why everyone else wanted to do print books, because it's really satisfying to hold this in your hand. Okay, I found it. So this is in the evening. The three kids have just come back from like a big festival celebration for one of the Great Spirits, and they're on their way home. Set the scene. Got a hot summer night. Maybe some sweets and stuff in their system. Maybe some alcohol. We don't know. We don't know how old they are. It's fine. Okay. It was much later in the night before the three began to tire, but eventually they had to make their way home. In an effort to avoid the traffic of the still partying festival goers, Sophia led them through a winding route of smaller lanes and alleyways. In her mind, Sophia felt Shale, that's her little friend buddy, raising his head sharply and peering around. He didn't know the earth of these streets very well, but he thought he sensed feet that should not be approaching this time of night. Sophia jogged quickly to catch up to her friends. Slow down? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a fast talker. Jogged quickly to catch up to her friends, who had kept walking while she was busy staring at the dirt. And then the butcher, shh! Tam's gleeful recitation of a past prank was cut short by Sophia's urgent whisper. I think someone's following us. Us? Why? Tam's voice was skeptical at first, but then his gaze slid sideways to land on Aaliyah. Her face looked strained. She pulled her headscarf tighter around her neck and quickened her steps. The daughter of a wealthy guildsman could be worth quite a lot to the right kind of people. Sophia quickly regretted saying anything if it put that kind of expression on her friend's face. She trotted even faster to walk beside Aaliyah. I mean, it could just be some beggars or something. I'm sure it's not because of you. Aaliyah's smile was a shadow of its usual self, but it was still there. Before she could say anything, Tamron reached out to grab her arm. He had turned to watch the street behind him. Behind them. His eyes were wide. I don't think those are beggars. What? How can you tell? Sophia turned around as well, but all she could see was the dim street behind them. The clay walls of the closed shop fronts rose up on either side, throwing long shadows in the dim light of the street lamps. Here, in the outskirts of the city, such lamps were few and far between, and most residents avoided going out after dark. Anyone out at this hour either had a purpose or had no other choice. Neither option greatly appealed to Sophia. I can see their spirits. What? Aaliyah whipped around to stare at Tamron in open disbelief. There has to be at least three buildings between us and them. I can't see them fully, he snapped back. Just a vague outline, but they're very big. His voice trailed off as he spoke. He clutched at Marisa, who was coiled tightly enough around his throat to choke him. So what do we do? Hissed Sophia. She glanced up at the sky and couldn't help backing up against the nearest wall. Even though most of the buildings in the area had multiple floors, she still felt exposed. Shale huffed his annoyance. These are no vultures swooping down to take you away. Face them, head on. Sophia had the distinct impression of horns being lowered in challenge. Well, if they're already nowhere here, there's no point in running. Aaliyah drew herself up, and Caiaphas spread his wings out behind her head. In the dimness of the alley, her silhouette looked like that of an old warrior queen. Her voice was firm. We'll just have to see what they want. And if they want something we can't give them? Even through his fear, Tamron could not resist asking the logical question. Then they shall simply have to be satisfied with what we can give. Aaliyah's tone suggested that one of those things might be serious bodily harm. They did not have to wait long. Only a handful of minutes passed before the mouth of the alley grew even darker, as three shapes appeared between them and the scant light of the street. The human feet were silent, but the resonant clicking of three large talismans was loud enough to echo off the narrow alley walls. Tamron tried to muffle his gasp behind his hand, but it was still loud enough that one great head swiveled in his direction. Saphira wanted to be annoyed, but she couldn't help but agree. These were easily the largest talismans she had ever seen. All three were in the shape of large canines, though the middle one had a sleekness to its shape that suggested a predatory cat. The largest one's shoulders reached just above its companion's waist, and though it could not growl, its lowered head and bared teeth were more than enough to strike fear into all three youths. None of the strange men spoke. The silence stretched out, until the three friends' ragged breathing seemed to fill the alley. Saphira clenched her fist, waiting. She wasn't going to be the one to attack a group of strange men in the middle of the night. A clink sounded behind her, and Saphira's heart stopped. She whirled around. Was there a fourth? Where did they come from? But the only movement behind her was Aaliyah jumping back and grabbing Caiaphas. The noise had just been the bird shifting his feathers. But the noise was apparently all the men needed to break their standoff. The cat talisman leapt forward. It streaked straight for Aaliyah and knocked her off her feet. The two dogs were close behind, each heading for the remaining youth. One was slightly smaller than the other, but wider, built to look more muscular. That one charged at Saphira, while its leaner companion loped toward Tamron. Saphira caught a glimpse of Tam raising Marisa above his head before she went down in a clatter of metallic claws and teeth. Wrestling with dogs was nothing new for Saphira. The hounds her family had helped wrangle their flocks were almost as important as the sheep themselves. Her early years were full of romping with litters of puppies, and then when she was older, training them to be working dogs, while still in being independent enough to survive the harsh mountain climate. This was nothing like that. There was no fur, no muscle, no panting hot breath in her face. There was only the smooth, cold skin of a talisman, gears grinding together as its limbs struggled for purchase in her skin. This dog had to be a flame spirit of some kind, even one from the molten core of a mountain. No earth spirit moved with this kind of ferocity, and there was none of the subtlety of either wind or water. It was pure force, and all Saphira could do was try to endure. We can do more than endure, child. Shale's voice rumbled through her like a landslide. It made her already spinning head throb, and her vision dim around the edges. Saphira suddenly realized how much her companion was holding himself back. His general disdain for the world made it hard to forget that Shale was an old spirit, much older than the young, quick, and curious ones who usually bonded with humans. But she had not fully understood what that meant. He had to keep a large part of his power repressed to protect her mortal body. The dog had its jaws clamped around her forearm, but somehow it did not hurt. The teeth weren't digging into her flesh. Instead, they were making a dull, scraping noise as it tried to find its grip. What is this? Do not concern yourself. You are safe for the moment. That is all that matters. Shale? Hush! You cannot keep this up very long, and your friends are still in danger. Will you waste more time with questions? Right. Saphira pushed her arm against the dog's mouth, and to her amazement it dislodged and skidded back several feet. It shook its head, then looked back toward its partner still standing in the mouth of the alley. Neither man had helped to move their companion. Saphira should be grateful for small blessings. Casting a quick prayer to the Mountain Father, she levered herself slowly upright. Behind her came the yells and clattering of her friends' fight. Saphira never took her eyes off the dog in front of her. It was pacing back and forth slowly, warily, but its head was still lowered. Some instinct had her lowering her head as well, and hunching her shoulders up. The only thing in her mind was Shale, mirroring her posture in preparation to charge. The dog opened its mouth at her in a silent bark, and sprang forward. It moved fast, but somehow, to Saphira, its movement was completely clear. Before its paws could reach her chest, she reached out and caught the dog round its throat. The impact jolted her arms up to her shoulders, but she didn't fall this time. Instead, the dog's speed helped her spin to throw him hard against the stone wall. She felt the clatter of its joints against the deep rock. She felt the clatter of its joint against the rock, deep in her bones. Screws pinging to the ground were irritating, like the bite of an insect, the chunk of a leg to the ground like a hit to the belly. The steps of the man behind her, though, were loud as a booming gong. They were going to flank her. She must endure. The first fist cracked against her cheek, but it was the man who fell back, yelling in pain. Blood dripped from his ruined knuckles. At least 2 broken fingers there. Shale was grimly pleased. The other man was going for her hair, probably to pull her down to the dirt. She turned to stop his hand. Or tried to. The movement was too slow. Her limbs were oddly stiff, and the air felt more like quicksand. He grabbed her ponytail and yanked, hard enough she should have felt pain. But she felt nothing, nor did she move. In the man's hand, bits of her hair cracked away like grass after a frost. Shale. I can't. Great graveling goats, I thought we'd have more time. The stamp of his hooves, too, echoed down through her feet. One last trick, then. Shale reared and dropped hard into a head-first charge. Sophia thought she might have dropped to all fours as well, but it was getting harder to tell the difference. She barreled towards the men, but was robbed of the satisfaction of a solid hit. They had apparently seen enough, and started running back toward the light of the streets proper. Sophia wanted to follow them, but her burst of momentum was short-lived. The stiffness was creeping back in. I'm sorry, child. Shale's voice was growing distant as he faded from the forefront of her mind. Suddenly, Sophia felt the blood rush back into her limbs. The tingling was so strong it was painful, and she fell from her hands and knees to her side in the dust. It took a long minute before she could lever herself up back to her feet, panting. She ran one shaking hand through her hair, while the other grasped Shale's talisman almost tight enough to bruise. Tamarin looked just as shaken. He sat crouched against the alley wall, giving Marisa a thorough inspection for damage. Aaliyah was giving Caiaphas a similar treatment, although she looked a good deal calmer as she catalogued his dented beak and bent feathers. Is everyone all right? Even to her own ears, the rasp in Sophia's voice was not very comforting. Aaliyah glanced up. So far, some minor bumps, but poor Caiaphas seems to have gotten the worst of it. She gestured to his chest, where a large dent interrupted the smooth curve of metal. He clicked his beak as he stared down at himself, apparently annoyed. Are you okay? You took on 2 of them by yourself. I wasn't really alone, though. Tamarin looked up, his eyes sharp. No, you weren't. He curled up further into himself, and drew Marisa tighter into his arms. She wriggled in protest. Aaliyah glanced sharply over to the boy, but didn't say anything. Sophia's vision was beginning to blur around the edges, so she staggered over to her friends and slid down to rest against the wall. Sophia, the girl rolled her head to look sideways at Aaliyah. Have you ever considered getting a proper vessel for Shale? That woke her up a bit. What do you mean, proper vessel? Well, Aaliyah's glance at Caiaphas was answer enough. Her shoulders hunched, and it was hard to tell if the irritation causing it had come from her or Shale. No, I haven't. Have you considered getting a proper vessel for your bird-brained friend? Tamarin scoffed and didn't look very apologetic when Sophia's glare transferred to him. What? Are you really telling me you think that lump of rock is good enough for your bondmate? At least I made this myself, she spat, thrusting the carved ram toward him. What have you made for Marisa, aside from a lifetime of aggravation? Tamarin bristled, and opened his mouth to reply when Aaliyah thrust her hands out between them. Enough. Though her crooked headscarf gave her a distinctly ruffled appearance, her voice held enough authority to shut them both up. Can't this wait for a better time? We just got ambushed in an alleyway by skies know who, and we don't know if they were working alone. She glanced back at the alley mouth. Come back to my father's house, and you can argue all you want there. And that's the end of that little segment chapter thing. Yeah, what do you think? I know my reading wasn't that great. I wasn't prepared for it to be quite that long, but I don't know. I think it's not pretty okay. Yeah, I really like the stone wall image. It's pretty cool. 43 minutes. That's a long time. Another screenshot. Gotta show those IPP people what's up. It's cool. Thanks for sharing, Sam. Appreciate it. Yeah, so that's it probably didn't make a whole lot of sense because it's like halfway through the book and references stuff that I've already like described and stuff. But yeah, Marisa was Tamarin's bondmate, and Caiaphas was Aaliyah's, and yeah, but you'll find out when you read it a little more. I still haven't written down who you people are. Holy crap. Who wants a copy? Okay, so we've got Lauren, Sam. There's probably a setting here. Don't know what that would be. Thanks. I'm Mom and Dad. I'm having you as one entrant. So I think there's like an online raffle thing I can use. Uh, Random picker. There it is. I do appreciate the internet. There's always a solution. Okay, this is actually going longer than I thought it would. Yeah, the download link is right on the site. You just go there, and there's a big download now button, and it should download. I should note that depending on the device you use, um, you're going want to use a specific browser. Like when I was downloading on my Android phone, it worked fine from like Chrome or Safari or whatever, and it should be the same on desktop. But if you're using an iOS device, you should use Safari to download the EPUB file, and it should just open in iBooks for you. Yeah, file management, that's fun. Da, 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 da. Yeah, so if you just head to the site, that would be. Thanks, I'm glad you liked it. Hooray! I'm so happy. I hope that if you do like it, you like share it to people who you think would like it as well. Like I said, it's a free download. I just kind of want to like spread the love as much as I can. I have to admit, I hoped there'd be a few more people here, but Kindle, it probably. Kindle has its own file format. You can give it a try, but I can also get a Kindle version up there if people want. But it should work on most e-readers. Yeah, you have to convert. Okay, I'll put a Kindle version up there, but hi, Gil Martins, you missed most of it. Just kidding. I did reading a little earlier. I'll throw the link in again just in case you're missing it. I'm glad you're excited. But yeah, you can read it on Android, iOS, desktop, if you have like an e-reader. Was it hard to pace the fighting scene? Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. It was like I was trying to do it like beat by beat, like an action movie, but I had to like put more of a general spin on it. Um, yeah, I know it's pretty fantasy. Fantasy is like my default genre though. Like, I like trying to write a slice of life thing. It's just like I couldn't do it. Hooray! Thanks for sharing around. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, I'll put your name in the draw for the copy. Let's see here. This is very exciting. Oh my god, I have to register? Screw that. Let's try something else. Okay, I'll give you all numbers. Hello. Going to continue writing these characters and other stories. Yeah, like I said, like I first wanted to, or rather, my publisher or my editor said I could probably like publish this with an actual publishing house, but like the timeline just didn't allow for it. So I kind of reworked a little bit, and it's probably going to work as a like prequel to this like world that I made. So I would love to continue this in the future and have these characters be like returning cameos in like a future book, and I could like explore the world that I've created and make more stories in it and make everything super gay. It's gonna be great. So yeah, I would like to like continue to write these characters in other stories, even if it's just like in like I don't know, like wise mentor roles, I guess, like advisory roles. Advisory roles. Da, da. Inspiration for my novella. It's kind of, I kind of wanted to, um, it's kind of based on an idea I had for a while. Like, I talked about it in the beginning a little bit, but I've always wanted to write a book from the perspective of not the protagonist. So like one of the supporting characters. So if you think of Harry Potter, you're thinking of like Ron and Hermione rather than Harry. So that was my sort of kickoff idea, and from there I just kind of mushed that together with like an elemental type story I've been wanting to write for a while too. Think like if you've ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, that's kind of the idea, like the elemental genre or whatever. I kind of like that idea as like a fantasy like magic system. So mush that together, threw in a dash of ladies and another dash of some gays and stuff, and this is what came out. Yeah, inspiration also came from His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. That's a great series. Yes, Teddy, what is your question? Favorite part of the writing process? Dear God, all the drinking before and after. That's what my favorite part was, because that was a big part of it. Yeah, the writing itself was actually pretty painful. Like, yeah, the deadlines were a big motivator, and I had to just really force myself to write, just because, I did so much reading, and so the thing is, when I started drinking, I didn't actually get much writing done because it's hard to focus. Like, my brain just kind of turns off, obviously, as you do. But, like, I read so much when I was younger. Like, young adult fiction, like, probably runs through my veins. If I cut my arms, like, I'm sure, like, words and stuff would spill out from the first Harry Potter book or something like that. It's just such a fundamental part of, like, my brain. But so at the same time, I have a very clear idea of what this kind of story would look like and what it would sound like. And when I sat down to write my first bit, it was like, dear God, this is a piece of garbage, and I hate it. And so it was very hard to overcome that anxiety of I'm not good enough to write, to actually sit down and write. I had to kind of turn off the really critical part of my brain, and that took a very long time and a lot of help from my co-worker over here, co-writer, who, yeah. Yeah, drinking and writing. What's the thing? Write drunk, edit sober. That's the important thing right there. Yeah. Okay. Says there's 9 people watching. Who have I missed? 2 people. Okay, that's fine. Well, it's getting to be a time. At that time that is getting later. Hooray, I did it. Yeah, so I will be sharing it on, like, the link to the story, like on Twitter and Tumblr and stuff. You guys were the first folks to get a glimpse of it and access to the link, so that's pretty cool. And yeah. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this raffle thing. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, the end result is like, yeah, that time of time. Listen, this is completely off the cuff, and I'm very good at talking about words. Mm-hmm. Oh, whoops. Wait for my random number generator to generate some numbers. Let's do it. Who's gonna get the books? This is mine. You don't want it because my hands are all sweaty and I got all over it. But I promise I'll touch these ones as little as possible, so they're relatively clean. Oh yeah, I guess I'll sign them. Let's do that. Where's our Sharpie? Actually, no, I'll do that off stream. Nobody wants to see that. It's boring. Oh, internet. Why you gotta not work? Okay, and the winners are... Oops. Lauren and Mom and Dad get a copy, and Teddy and Taylor, and one of my other friends who is offline. Thank you for the drum roll. I should have put a drum roll on. I will make a note of that. Hooray, you're the big winners. Thank you for celebrating. Makes me feel a little better about stuff. Okay, so classmates, I'll give all you guys stuff at school. And I guess Mom and Dad will give you one when I see you guys next. It'll be good. So, yeah. This was a launch. I launched it. Tell your friends. Tell your people who like to read stuff. You can read on the bus. It's not super long. Launch hype. I'm hyped. This is me getting hyped. It's awesome. Okay. Yeah. Any last questions? Thank you for the hype. I appreciate the hype. Great. Now we can go have a proper Friday and stop listening to me rambling. That'll be good. Farewell, friends. See you someday later. Check out the smooth transition. Oh man, streaming software, it's so good. Oh man, check this out.